Men, 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 men. It's great to be on a ship with men and say.
Hello everybody, it's the Law Gnome and welcome to yet another tag video, one that I was tagged in very recently. I was tagged by my friend, The First Chapter, who is definitely one of the most unique and probably most welcoming YouTubers out there. He is just such a nice guy, and he really throws his perspective into everything that he does, and it makes it all just so much fun to watch and unique. So the tag that I'm going to be doing today is one that I didn't even know about, and one that's really making an impact right now on BookTube, and it is the Male BookTuber Tag. Now, let's face it, BookTube is a very big community, but it's pretty plain to see that it is mostly dominated by a female following, and female booktubers. And is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, some of my best friends here on YouTube happen to be female booktubers. I always felt, as growing up and even today, that when it comes to having in-depth conversations with women as opposed to men, I feel that women offer a much more unique perspective. I mean, men are just great to talk to as well, but they're just very blunt and basic, but I just feel that you can get on a much deeper level with a woman when it comes to having a conversation, and I found that a lot, especially when it came to talking about movies, playing video games, and of course discussing books. My wife and I have amazing conversations in all areas of pop culture and life. So, without further ado, let's discuss the Male BookTuber Tag. So the first question is, do you think that there is a lack of male booktubers, and if so, why? Honestly, it's a very hard question to answer because I'm not so sure what the answer is. I am definitely going to say that there's a very good chance that the answer is no, and the reason why most people would think that the answer is yes is because when you click on a BookTube video, and most of the time, as I said, it's usually a female that you will find, you will get a lot of recommendations to other female booktubers as opposed to male booktubers. Now again, I don't know if that's the algorithm's fault or if that's YouTube's fault, or maybe there really is a shortage of men out there doing reviews on books. I mean, I review a lot more movies and music, but I always try and find a way to incorporate books into everything that I discuss. When there's a movie that I discuss, of course, it always leads to the original book, if there is a book. Even when it comes to a comic book movie, I talk about the graphic novel. When I do my DCAU live shows with my friends Brian and Melissa, of course we talk about the comic books that these films are based on. So books really do play a crucial role in my specific show. But I feel that when it comes to booktubers and for people to discover more male booktubers, I think it has to be a little bit more than just the person doing a search. I feel that YouTube has to do some more in regards to properly linking both genders of booktube videos into recommendations. But I have found a lot more male booktubers in the past couple of months, so maybe this could be a trend that is changing. The second question is, would you like to see more male booktubers, and why? I always feel that when you see a male booktuber, you're definitely going to get something different, and again, this is no knock to the female booktubers out there. They are fantastic. I can name at least 30 of them that I watch. But one of the few things that I do know is, when it comes to booktubing videos, of course you're going to get recommendations of certain books to read. So to a certain extent, you're going to see a lot of people reviewing the same book. I mean, in the past couple of videos that I have seen throughout this year, I think one book that I have been seeing constantly in almost every booktuber video is Caraval. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's a book that's recommended, it's a book that people want to read. But when it comes to male booktubers, they're going to step out of the area of contemporary fiction as well as YA fantasy. I have read my share of YA fantasy, of course, and that's not a bad thing either. But I feel that when it comes to male booktubers, you will see a lot of classic science fiction. You'll probably see more horror books, and you'll probably see more authors like Stephen King, maybe even Michael Crichton, or John Grisham, or Tom Clancy. These are very well-known authors, and when it comes to the booktube community, I don't see many females talking about those kinds of books. And going back to my wife, she is a huge Tom Clancy fan. So those are books that I know that females read too, and I feel that when male booktubers take a role in the booktube community, we may see more of these books more predominant in the community, and maybe that will convince other people to read those books. I mean, I recently read Stephen King's It, and I recommend anybody to go out and read that book. Even if you're not a horror fan, you'll be entranced in the atmosphere. And I feel that when more of those kinds of books are out there and recommended in YouTube, more people will read them. I would also like to see more books about sports, and more autobiographies about things like athletes or politicians or something like that. Hell, I would love it if someone actually read a book that's based on Donald Trump, just for the sake of ruffling a few feathers and stirring up the pot to give somebody a new perspective. Whether you like the guy or not, I still think that it's something that can definitely open up some eyes and maybe create certain perspectives of other things, but that's just my own personal opinion. Don't knock me for that, please. Question number 3 is, how do you think we as a community can attract more male booktubers? Well, I feel that one of the few things that I always ask myself, especially when it comes to seeing books being recommended, I have reached out to a lot of female booktubers asking them questions about the Raven Cycle, about the Grisha trilogy, about the Shatter Me trilogy, about Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and I always ask them the same question because most of them are female. Do you think that a male would appreciate this kind of a story? And I think what's very interesting is the fact that sometimes they don't really know how to answer that question. And I guess it's because of the fact that they don't really look at these kinds of books from a male perspective. Not that they have to, it's just something that they don't do, and that's nothing bad. But I feel that when it comes to a book, or anything for that matter, you should let people be aware of what types of audiences it would probably be best for. I mean, when it comes to movies, I don't necessarily go gender specific, but I do try and tell people if I know for a fact that people might not like it. Whether it's a gender-based thing, it could be, it could not be, but I will always say that if there may be certain people out there that may not like a certain movie, I will let them know that. Just basically say, you know something, not everybody is going to like this movie. I feel that after giving a rating or basically saying, I love this book, you should definitely read it, I feel that we need to go a little bit more deeper into the reviewing process and try and do it more based around demographics. It could be a little bit challenging, but I feel that if we really get a little bit more specific in our reviews, we will see if we could possibly attract more males to books. And quite frankly, I know a lot of people have said that when boys are growing up, they were always pushed into things like sports and not really asked to read. Now, my father didn't ask me to read, but my mother wanted me to read. And it has nothing to do with being nerdy or anything like that. It's just because of the fact that when you read, it works your brain. It makes the creativity in your brain go a little bit more mobile. And I feel that that's the way that reading needs to be sold to anybody. It's not emasculating in the slightest. As a matter of fact, there are very male-oriented books that men are going to absolutely love. I mean, look at the comic book industry. For years, that was male-dominated because men loved the action, men loved the mystery. And I feel that that is a way that we need to let the males out there who are possibly watching YouTube videos actually understand that that's what reading is all about. Question number 4 is, do you think having more males on BookTube will enhance the BookTube experience? I feel that when more men actually join BookTube, I feel that they will read different kinds of books that are not usually featured. I mean, I know for a solid fact that most men won't read books from authors like Rainbow Rowell. That's a solid fact. No offense to people who read those books and other authors like Jenny Han or anything like that. No knock to those kinds of authors at all. I just feel that they are stories that are not necessarily things that men don't really care for, but I also feel that a lot of men don't really care for a real-world kind of story. Guys want to get lost in an adventure or a fantasy or a science fiction thing. Because look, we're guys, especially when it comes to being an adult. We live real life every day. Men are constantly bombarded with real-world issues, and relationships, guys in relationships are very different from girls in relationships. We don't think so much through or so much in depth in regards to relationships. And most of you girls out there that are dating, you probably know this, especially if you're dating a guy. But we won't read those kinds of books because we just feel that they'll be boring to us. No offense. So I feel that when you bring a male perspective in there, we will probably bring more kinds of books out there. And that's what I feel is crippling BookTube to a certain degree these days, because of the fact that we're seeing the same kinds of books all the time, and we're not really branching out into other areas, because there is definitely more books out there outside of YA, fantasy, and science fiction, and I feel that if we bring those kinds of books to BookTube, we will get a much more richer and diverse community. Number 5 is check the gender divide on your viewers in your analytics. Scroll down to find out how to do this. Now, I live and die by my analytics, and mine is going to be very different from most people, and that's only because of the fact that I don't just talk about books. Because of the fact that I talk about things like movies and music and Funko Pops and all of that, I have a 76% viewing by males. I have a very small viewership of females, and I think it's because it's the exact opposite of what I have been saying throughout this entire video. I feel that what I talk about gears more towards a male audience as opposed to a female audience, but I am trying to get a larger female audience because I feel that what I talk about can be appreciated by everybody, and that's one of the main reasons why I got involved in the BookTube community. It's also one of the main reasons why I've been reading a lot. It's because of the fact that I want to reach out to everybody, work with everybody, help everybody, watch everybody, because I feel that everybody who makes videos has such a unique perspective to bring, and I really want to enrich myself in everything, and I feel that I am a better person for it. So I would love a larger female audience. I have a great male audience. I get great comments as well, but the more of male and females that I have, I feel that I'll just be a better YouTuber, because so far everything seems to be very good. And the last question is, name a few of your favorite male booktubers. Well, I don't really have that many, but the ones that I do are people that have been mentioned many times already. I mean, I love the first chapter. He is a fantastic guy, and I love his comments. I've even convinced him to do a couple of different videos outside of books as well, and he's very interested in trying that. Of course, I gotta talk about my friend Devin from Insominac. He is a fantastic guy, and he talks about more than just books. He's got some great political conversations in his channel as well, and I absolutely love that. And also, TheSecretStacks is another great guy. He's an author as well. I also appreciate the perspective that he brings, and there are so many other male booktubers out there that are fantastic, and I am planning to look into more of them in the future and definitely appreciate the content that they bring. And that is the Male BookTuber Tag. Jayesh, I hope that I answered your questions, and I hope that you enjoy them. The first chapter, thank you very much for tagging me. I hope you appreciated this as well. So now it's time for me to tag some people, and I want to go step outside the box, because not only are males doing this tag, but females are offering their perspective as well. And I would like to see more female perspective to make this a very good balance, because the more that we all help each other, the better that this community is going to be and grow. So I am going to be tagging Jade over at Bedtime Bookworm. She has been on hiatus, but she's looking to come back, and one of the things that she said on Twitter is, are there any good tags out there that I can do? So I told her, try this one. And of course I want to tag AmberEatsBooks. She's also one of my subscribers who's been commenting a lot. I would love to see her perspective on these questions. And my friend Lauren at Random Freckles 1831. She was very interested. She didn't know about this tag, so I definitely want to see her perspective as well. I'm going to be a little diverse in regards to this. I got people who are younger, people who are older, people who are parents, people who are just married waiting to have children. So I think we're going to get a very unique perspective from the people that I tagged. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. Put your comments in the box below and let's discuss, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.